isn't to live forever. The goal is to create something that will.
Welcome to Perspective, a podcast for wedding creators, where we sit down, often with special guests, and talk about our many years of experience in the wedding industry so you can learn from us and grow your wedding business. Hi, I'm Simon.
I'm Greg.
Together, we are Cinemate Films, two Scottish-based wedding filmmakers who love nothing more than drinking coffee and talking to our friends in the wedding industry. This episode is, of course, sponsored by With Jack, but I'll get onto that a little bit later in the show. Greg, who are we talking to today?
We are talking to Joanna and Nathan from Joanna Eliza Photography. Hello, guys. Right. How you doing?
Hi.
Hello.
So good. How are you?
We're doing great. Yeah. You know what? I just realized how big that microphone is. It's massive.
I'm small.
How did I not notice that before? That was. But how have you guys been?
Yeah, we've been really good. I feel like the start of the year is just kind of like flown by already. We're at the end of January.
Yeah, I feel like a lot's been going on.
Yeah. Have you been out photographing yet? Have you had any jobs?
We've had one elopement, which was like a 2-day shoot, which was amazing. But like right at the beginning of January, so we kind of like dove right in.
Yeah. Was there anything? All elopements are special, but was there anything unique that you found with this early one?
Well, on our first day, it was on Sky, and it was like at the very end of the week where it was horrendously snowy and icy, and it was a little bit scary. But it was absolutely beautiful, and like some of the most amazing photos we've ever taken. So it worked out really well.
Yeah, very touch and go with the ice, but we all survived, which is great.
Good. Oh, yes, and you're right. The storm, for our listeners, we're recording this on the 20th of January, so we have just all gone through a storm.
In Scotland.
In Scotland, yeah. I was in the car when I got that. Did you get the warning? The red notification? That gave me a fucking heart attack. I'm not going to lie.
Terrified us.
Yeah, right. You guys got it too?
Yeah, well, we were down in Edinburgh at the time, and we just like left our hotel room, and we were like, have we just set off the fire alarm? Not realizing that both of our phones were just like screaming at us.
Yeah. I had like the work phone in one pocket, my phone in the other, and I was like, oh my God.
Oh my gosh. Yeah, crazy.
Oh my God. But yeah, so you survived okay? You got back home?
Yes.
All right?
We did.
Yeah, the only real damage was that some Highland cows got into our garden because the gate came open. But the rest of the house is fine, so...
Okay.
Yeah. So for listeners who maybe haven't heard of you, who are you guys and what do you do?
So I'm Joanna and this is Nathan, and we kind of started our business as wedding photographers several years back now. I can't actually remember how long. 2018. And I went full time just before COVID. And so it kind of only got like my first year of like bookings that have been booked in for however long. And then they all turned to elopements. And it was kind of good because I realized I actually really hate photographing weddings. And I really love elopements. So it worked out so well. And then a year later, Nathan joined me full time as videographer. And we've like just slowly been working our way further and further north in Scotland. And so we were in Edinburgh and now we're on Sky. So yeah, pretty good.
What took Nathan so long to join you?
I know. Mostly just being able to sort of sustain the start of the business as like COVID was hitting through and just gave us the time to sort of set up everything and develop the business for a year while I was working away at a supermarket, just kind of the daily grind for a year. And then I was like, you know what? Let me come along.
It's kind of crazy though, because like, I know obviously COVID was so hard for so many businesses, but I think for us, it kind of worked out in a really like
surprisingly
helpful way,
positive way,
because it meant, because I literally didn't have anything happening like before COVID, it meant that coming out of COVID, we'd got elopement bookings and we were kind of like starting fresh, and I'd had all of this time to kind of like work on our branding and on our marketing and like pour time into the stuff that people tend to really hate doing and never have time for. So it kind of worked out well for us, which I know is not the case for most people, sadly.
Yeah, I mean, it was a tough time for many people. I personally enjoyed my time off. I won't lie.
Time off.
But I can understand. I mean, obviously there was a lot of pressure. You know, we had to keep afloat. The
Yeah.
keeping afloat was difficult.
Yes.
But yeah, sorry for anyone out there who's listening going, you bastards. You had it so easy. I know, I'm sorry. So what got you into doing elopements in the first place? Obviously, you mentioned that you don't like weddings. I'm intrigued to hear your experience with weddings, why you don't actually like them.
Okay.
And it's okay to not like it. It's okay. No judgment here.
So I'll probably take it like way back. So I studied photography in sixth form, and so did it for one of my A levels. Actually hated studying it. It was all just kind of like go and take pictures of stripes. And then you'd come in with all these pictures of stripes, and then one day your teacher would be like, that's an amazing picture, put it in your portfolio. And then the next day she'd look at it and be like, no, that's an awful picture. Why is that in your portfolio? And I was like, this is too subjective. I can't deal with this. Like, I can't base like my future of it depending on whether someone's in a good mood or not, essentially, when they look at it. And I was like, I also really just don't want to take pictures of stripes. And so I was like, maybe photography, not for me. So then went to drama school and studied acting, where I then like started to take people's headshots, and I really kind of got into storytelling and enjoyed directing and just kind of like watching things play out. And so it's kind of like all tied in together that I've ended up coming up to Scotland and getting into this and doing like elopements and storytelling kind of things. But what first got me into it was one of my friends who I studied photography with was like, can you photograph my wedding? And I was like, no, absolutely not. But she was like pretty like adamant of like, no, it's fine. Like we study photography together. And I ended up like saying yes and doing it, and kind of realized that I really enjoyed being able to kind of like pull these two things together of telling stories and kind of documenting a day and being like artistic and creative with it. And so then from there, it kind of spiraled a little bit. And we started to get bookings for weddings and this, that, and the other. And it wasn't until I like started photographing weddings of people that weren't already like some of my best friends that I realized I was like, this is overwhelming. I'm very much an introvert. I really don't like being like a loud voice and trying to like manage a load of people,
organize everything.
Yeah, I'm like, I was like, nope, I just like want the ground to suck me up. So kind of like established that maybe wasn't where I felt best. And like over time and after having done a couple of elopements, I kind of realized that in order for me to really feel that I can be creative and be really intentional with how I'm trying to tell stories, it's in a much slower paced environment. Which a wedding for me, I never found the balance of being able to try and bring that to a slower pace, because weddings usually are quite fast paced, and that's like not a bad thing. But for me and my brain, it was maybe not the best.
Yeah. So did you have it in mind that you would end up on Skye? Like, was that your final destination, or like, yeah, tell me that journey about just you working your way up there.
Yeah, I mean, never from the very beginning, because I mean, like Joanna said before, like had it not been for like COVID, I'm not sure we would even sort of digressed into elopements originally.
Yeah.
So that being said, when we started doing elopements and we came to Sky for the first time around the
2020 was literally just before COVID.
2020. The first time we came, we were like, yes, this feels like home. Like we really want to try and make that work. Obviously, long time down the road, we finally made it up here, but it has been a long slog to try and get up here. But yeah, it's definitely for the long run that we want to stay up here.
Yeah. Actually, you know what? I completely skipped over the fact that you guys met at some point in this journey. Right? Like, so, Joanna, were you just like in the bread aisle reaching for the Warburtons and Nathan was going, oh, that one's out of date? Like, I don't know. How did you guys meet?
So we met, years
way before all of this.
I think it must have been like 2010 when like we first met. Maybe.
Yeah, so we knew of each other like throughout school, but we didn't go to the same school. And by the time it was the end of school, we went to the same sixth form college. And we dated on and off a little bit, but then Joanna went to uni in London and I came up to Edinburgh. So that was kind of like a long distance situation for a couple of years. And the main reason probably you would say that you came up to Edinburgh
was to him.
So this was all just kind of basically post-graduation. Joanna finished uni, came to Edinburgh, started the business, and then that was kind of the first few weddings, 2018, 2019.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
So I want to talk about like your background in acting and directing. Like, do you think that's had an impact on? I'm not sure if you've got the same background, Nathan, but has that impacted your storytelling and your photography or filmmaking?
I think definitely it's something that I've always been really passionate about, and I kind of always thought, I want to be an actor, like that's what I want to do. But also being an incredibly anxious and introverted person, acting is maybe like it puts you out there a little bit, and it's not necessarily something I'm most comfortable with, but I've always really enjoyed it. And so when I was at drama school, we got to do a lot more with directing, and that's kind of where I really felt like, yeah, this is what I really enjoy doing. And so coming out of that, I kind of wanted to lean more into doing directing as a career, and that photography would be my bread and butter. It would it would fund my acting and my directing. And then it all just kind of like spiraled in a different direction. But that's like, it's been amazing to kind of figure out ways that I can bring in my eye for directing into photography, but in a less directional way, if that makes sense. So like, I'm not constantly like, now stand here, do this, do this, do this. It's quite nice to just like observe how I would if I were observing like actors on the stage, and then kind of finding my own way to prompt things based off that. So it all kind of does tie in together in similar ways, but yeah.
And I think with that, I think you'd love to do some sort of acting or directing a short film or something, like not necessarily wedding related, or
definitely would love to do something like that. And you've got more into like I guess into it and being interested
just
in
learning from you
like,
as well. I definitely don't have the background that Joanna has in terms of that. I did a degree in economics, so my brain is more like
very different.
the business side of things. But yeah, it works. It's a nice little connection,
I honestly thought you were going to say, I went to study the same thing as Joanna, but I actually loved the stripes. I could photograph all different stripes, and so my life just got consumed by different stripes.
Yeah.
Oh well, economics, I mean, okay. Is there anything that you can take away from that you can establish into business? Like,
only that I did like a minor accounting module throughout my time,
Okay.
but otherwise, a lot of irrelevant knowledge is in my brain.
fair enough.
Great with all of like the admin side of things and like everything that my brain finds so overwhelming about running a business.
Yeah,
You're like, I enjoy doing this.
Less so because
great.
less so because I did an economics degree, and more so that my brain is like wired in the way of like being really sort of OCD about that kind of thing.
Yeah. So you just fell into that side of the business.
I mean, it just becomes natural, doesn't it? It's like one person can do emails and one person can edit pictures.
Yes, exactly. The best duos are like that. Absolutely agree with you, Nathan. 100%. Yeah, the best duos. I mean, we've been together for like 14, 15 years. If that's, that's more committed to my wife.
Almost, yeah.
Yeah, well, so, Joanna, going back to that idea of directing people, again, directing actors is not the same discipline as being able to direct people. In fact, would you even describe yourself as directing people on an elopement, or would you just? Oh, I don't know. I'll let you describe it.
So I think I'm very much like, I don't really say a lot during an elopement. I really try and just like basically like set a scene, like hold like not to sound like the Wicked cast, but holding space, as they keep saying. Yeah.
Do you know the reference? No.
I mean, I've watched Wicked.
Greg's like, why are you holding my finger?
You need to go watch that interview.
It's amazing.
But like that is like genuinely what is quite important, is kind of like setting that scene and just being able to allow people to be and feel free to be themselves and to explore the space that they're in and have those moments together. So I kind of like try and do that to begin with, and then I stay very quiet and just offer prompts here and there. But like going back to kind of like directing, like one of the things that we would kind of like you're looking for is different body language and how people are communicating with their eyes and their gaze, and that comes in like to play a lot with doing elopements. I'm constantly looking at like where the couples are looking when they're looking at each other, constantly like paying attention to their body language and allowing them to kind of dictate how I then decide to prompt things. I'm only ever trying to prompt things that I can tell that they're going to be comfortable with, because every couple you work with is completely different, and they'll have like their own boundaries of things that they are comfortable with. Some people are very comfortable with public display of affection, and then others are just like very happy to just kind of be and not be too like lovey-dovey. And I think it's quite important to kind of take notice of that and then play from that based off how you're kind of reading into the situation.
Is it kind of lucky that Skye still feels very remote, even though a very popular tourist destination? There is a lot of open space. Does that help those kind of more introverted couples who don't like public displays come out of their shell a little bit?
Absolutely. And I will always try and like recommend to couples, like when we're planning their timelines, to like either do like sunrise or sunset, or just kind of we'll pick locations that are maybe a little bit quieter, slightly more, slightly less well-known, to try and keep it as intimate as possible, because I know I'd hate it if there was an audience on me getting married. Like, no.
Yeah, especially for ceremonies, you kind of want to be, when people are reading vows, you want that to be like as quiet as possible.
A tourist in the background with a camera during a ceremony is
and
very
we've
awkward.
definitely had that where like people have sort of wanted pictures and we're like in the middle of a ceremony. And I'm like,
we were on the Krang and like about to have a ceremony start, and Gary was celebrant, love him, and these two tourists just walk up, tap him on the shoulder, and they're like, "Can you take a picture?"
Wow.
Just read the room.
I've found that most people are quite respectful. If they can tell it's a ceremony, they do wait before walking past or something, but there's the odd outlier that
My God.
What is your approach to guiding the couple then in like pre-production phase and getting to know them? How much are you influencing where they're going to go and what they're doing?
So again, like every couple is different, and we always kind of say like it's a two-way street. Like we can only give like our 100%, but we need them to give their 100% as well. So like we'll kind of go through a process of they'll obviously fill out an inquiry form, and we try and like get as much information from them then we'll plan a call and we'll try and get to know them a little bit more through that. I always try and get them on social media as well, so that we can just kind of get to know them a little bit more just by stalking them essentially. Like just responding to all of their stories about their plants but like it's nice to try and build relationships and kind of get to know the things that they like. And same with also for like us on social media, like I try and share more about us as people in just our lives as well, so that we're also contributing to that connection. Because it is like we're asking them to be so vulnerable, so it kind of only feels fair that we give away like parts of ourselves as well, so that we can kind of build on that connection and really get to know each other. And because a lot of people are booking their elopement maybe like 6 months to a year out, it kind of feels weird to just like not have any communication from when they book until like their elopement, so that we try and find different ways to just kind of like keep checking in with them that isn't necessarily an email. And so we'll kind of like keep up to date with them on social media, and then as we get closer to their elopement, usually a month out is when we actually plan their itinerary. And for some couples, they already come to us and they're like, we've got a plan. We're sorted. We know what we're doing. And then for others, like we plan essentially like the whole thing. But it's like really nice either way. And
we're always just trying to like gauge kind of what they would want their day to be like from like the inquiry form, from the calls we have. We're just trying to like figure out what kind of people they are, whether they want like a really slow, chilled out day, or like filling it with activities.
Do they want adventure? Do they want boat trips? Like what do they want to do? But I also try, like this is something that I've implemented maybe in the last year, is I ask like a month before if they can send over like a mood board. And it's not like a mood board of pictures that they want, but it's a mood board that kind of is of them. So like, what kind of things would you enjoy doing on like a date night? Like, would you prefer to have like a picnic or like watch a movie? Are there any poems that like stand out to you that are really important, or are there song lyrics or just like music? TV shows, like what kind of inspires them as people, so that we can try and like figure out ways to incorporate some of that into their day. And I do this with couples sessions as well, so that we can try and get to know them more. And like sometimes people are like, we just like to sit and like write love notes to each other. So I'm like, great, let's do that. If that's something that you enjoy doing, and is like special, why don't we do that as part of the day?
And it keeps it unique as well, because it makes it more about them than just doing like the same shoot over and over.
Talking about sharing yourselves with your couples, I loved your about page on your website, especially the old family photographs.
Oh,
I They're really cool. Where did you find these?
So I think basically me and all of like my sisters are all creative in some realm. And so a lot of the times we find old photos as part of like school projects that have happened. So I think some of them were when like my sister was doing like a textiles thing, and she needed all of the old pictures, and so I think that's where I managed to find them from.
And your grandparents just like keep everything, don't they?
Yeah, same.
Yeah, handy, very handy.
Very handy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
cool. So in terms of like, when a couple come to you and be like, they're asking for help to plan and all that kind of stuff, like, do you have like a basic structure in your head as to things that you should do, shouldn't do, like already without any information from them?
That's a good question. I think like we always kind of have like a basic idea that we kind of like play off. But usually we need like a little bit of info from them, like if they're having
because
that kind of like would mean that we'd maybe need more time, because we start like our lowest package is 4 hours, which I think like is such a sweet spot for like just like a short sweet elopement, and it still gives them plenty of time to like do other stuff in the day without necessarily having 2 people with cameras follow them around all day. But then if you were wanting to have like getting ready, or if they were wanting to have like family and friends and guests, I would like probably say 6 hours would be like the minimum I would recommend for that, because I'm like, there's a lot of moving parts that are then happening and we don't want anything to feel rushed. So we try and like find out those kind of basic details as early on as possible so that we can give a good amount of insight as to what we think that they're going to need. And again, like location. So like I would say that most of our inquiries come for either Glencoe or Skye. And I think it depends on where within Skye as to whether or not you need however many hours. But then for like Glencoe, you can very easily do like a lot of, well, you can cover a lot of ground in a very short amount of time, because it's all so close. So it's like really good to know as much information as possible from people beforehand, I would say.
You mentioned having 2 people follow you around. Is that standard that you always both work? Like, do your 4-hour package by standard have photo and video?
So if it's photo only, Nathan comes as my second shooter.
Right, okay.
And if it's video only, I go as his second shooter. So there's always the 2 of us.
Yeah, we're always both there. It just depends on what we're booked for doing.
I suppose it would be kind of awkward if one of you just went shooting up the road and the other one just stays in the house, like watching TV. I don't know. It just seems, that idea seemed weird to me. What is the percentage of couples, like how would you break it down, as in people who wanted photos, people who wanted photo and video, and then people who just wanted video? Like, what would you say that percentage is? Because I've always been kind of intrigued with this idea of like we're just videographers, but then it's like we both have the skill and the passion to do stills if we wanted to. But we've just never done it because we don't want to step on people's toes, is what we say.
I think, the split that kind of instinctively comes to mind is that it's maybe like 60% all photography.
Wow. Okay.
Or maybe closer to maybe.
I think it depends, because last year we didn't do like all that many video things, whereas this year basically everything has both. Yeah, but we very rarely get like video only. But I think that's because we're very picky. So
as well you should.
So yeah, it really
Yeah,
does
so
vary year to year. I don't
Yeah.
really know if there's like a theme that happens each year or
Yeah.
what.
this year I feel like it is most like probably 50-50 photo only and then photo and video
Yeah.
for the booking.
Yeah.
Okay.
But last year I think it was a bit more on the photo
It was more
only
on the
side.
photo side.
Yeah.
Hmm.
I don't know if there's any kind of rhyme or reason to like the inquiries or whether people don't think about video. I don't know if you guys find that like video is more later down, like closer to the time sometimes.
Oh, yeah.
Can be, yeah.
I think on the most part, it's always like, oh, we'll see if we've got the budget,
Hmm.
or it's just we want to make sure that there's certain other things booked, and then video is usually one of the later things.
Yeah.
Unless there's a really passionate couple.
Yeah.
And that we get a handful of them every year, and they're just like, we have to have you.
Mm-hmm.
We want to book.
That's
Are you
it.
free? And then we're just like, yes. That's. Although, I'm trying to remember a time where that's happened and we've not been free. No, I can't remember. I'm sure there has been.
Will be.
Well, we've got an elopement this year in September. That looks cool, but it's like an elopement up in Loch Awe, and then we have to travel all the way down for a big wedding in Stranraer. The day after. So it's like you're trying to do math. It's like, I don't want to say no, so we're going to say yes to this, but that's going to be a lot of travel and not a lot of time. And yeah. Oh, for fun times. Oh yeah, it'll be all right. Yeah, and then we're across to the borders in 2 days after that. So
Oh wow.
it's a busy week in September.
Yeah.
September is busy actually.
Yeah, it's
Like,
Yeah.
over like crazy. Yeah.
it's so, I don't know. It just feels so random because it's like, do we have anything else on in September? Maybe a couple of other things, but definitely not that week is chock a block
Yeah.
full of
Let's
stuff.
do our whole September
Oh
in
my
1
God.
week. So,
Yeah.
what is your approach on the day then? How do you like to shoot the day? Like, what's your approach to your photography style?
I think, like I said, like I really try and not like interfere too much. Most of the people that are booking us have chosen to elope because they are quite shy and they don't really want like a big audience. And so I really want to make it like a fun experience to them because for the most part, I think a lot of them are very anxious about being photographed, as you would be. Like, it's not a very normal thing to have your pictures taken. And so I really just try and observe and just offer prompts here and there. I try and keep people moving as much as possible because, well, I guess like with Nathan working alongside me for video, a lot of the times it's important for us to try and shoot like together. And so I try and keep people moving, and I basically try and like prompt it in a way of, this is a movie, like this is a film, even if like Nathan's not doing video and it is all just photography, I still try and keep it in like a cinematic film kind of experience way. And I really want the couple but to look at the photos in 10, 20, 30 years time and remember what it felt like to be there. I don't want them to look at this like scenery and be like, oh, I didn't even realize like that's where I was.
Like too busy getting into a position or something.
And like we've been photographed quite a few times now, and we definitely have learned what we hate. Being
works
told
well,
to
yeah,
do
what doesn't.
prompts wise.
Okay.
So
Who is there people in Sky that you've been photographed by, or have you gone further afield, or?
Well,
I don't know if there was anyone on Sky.
No.
I think for like a couple of workshops in the past.
yeah, and we've like worked with like a lot of people who've maybe been traveling to Scotland and they've wanted to do like a shoot swap or whatever. And that's been great for us, like to really figure out what's comfortable for people, what's uncomfortable for people. And yeah.
And obviously like everyone has like a different way of sort of going about that kind of posing, prompting situation. But I think it just kind of helps to understand how you feel in front of the camera. Like if you feel comfortable with that, then maybe someone else would, but if you don't, then maybe someone else wouldn't. So,
and I think it helps that we're both quite like awkward and uncomfortable.
we're both very introverted, aren't we?
But that kind of helps because most of the people we're working with are also like that. So
in fact, that kind of perspective on like in front of the camera being that way might actually make it a little bit clearer as to what you do and don't like.
Yeah,
because I remember going for a shoot with my wife, and I will happily do whatever I'm told.
Yeah.
In terms of like being a certain way or doing something, whereas my wife, very introverted to a degree, and she's got ADHD, so she's hyper aware of things that kind of like set her off in a way. And just after some shoots, she was giving me all these little notes. I was like, oh yeah, okay. I've never really noticed it before. And obviously that has affected her view on some of the photographs.
Yeah.
And I saw her point of view more clearly.
Yeah.
So I think it's quite a powerful thing.
Well, I think like experience is everything. And if you feel uncomfortable having your photos taken at the time you're having your photos taken, you're going to feel uncomfortable looking at them. So to try and like make it as fun of an experience and like take away that awkwardness as much as possible is a gift you're giving them later down the line when they look at it. Like they're going to feel comfortable and like really love the photos. Whereas like if they do feel really like stiff and uncomfortable whilst they're being photographed, they'll feel that when they look at them in 10 years time.
Yeah.
What's like one example of something that obviously each couple is different and reacts different, but for you guys, what's one example that you heard being said to you and you thought, I'm going to avoid doing that in the future?
Ooh.
Have you got any that you can think of?
Oh, yeah.
I really hope you guys don't say this, and if you do, I'm sorry. But we got told to hump like bunnies once.
Oh, God.
Wow.
What?
And I was like,
I can't even. What?
this is not making me feel comfortable. And it was in like a whole section where they were trying to say like, this is how to like make people feel comfortable in front of camera. And I was like,
was it to try and make you laugh or something?
I think maybe, but like I was just like, I feel like I just want the ground to swallow me up again. So
yeah,
that is what a terrible, terrible line. Greg gives me into trouble all the time for like, because I always say we should probably stop doing that as a collective group, and he always says you shouldn't tell people what they should and should not do. And most of the time he's actually right. He is. I shouldn't have that. I shouldn't be telling people what to do. That's never my intention.
But
the hump like bunnies line, I think we can maybe all agree here.
Yes.
That we shouldn't maybe say a line like that. I don't know. Are you going to give me into trouble, Greg?
No.
Oh, okay. Until we stop recording, he's gonna be like, "I told you not to."
But like the thing is that like that would totally work for like someone with that personality that could really take that and find it funny. But it's kind of like just read the room. Like we obviously at this point we're like not the most comfortable being photographed. And then to come out as something like that, I was like,
That is also where all that kind of pre-work comes in, like finding out like what their personalities are, and also on the day you're kind of getting that read of like what they would find comfortable. It all kind of plays together.
Yeah, absolutely. I want to go to. Did we talk about Instagram? No, we talked about the percentage-wise for photographs and video, and I'm intrigued because obviously you alluded to more photographs, but not this year. And I know social media is a big thing, especially TikTok. I don't know if you're on TikTok or not. But It's a different world, I know. But what's your approach to showing your video versus your stills on your Instagram?
Okay.
Like, is there a methodology? Do you show your video stuff? Like, tell me all about it.
So I think with sharing video stuff, we have some reservations around it because it's so personal to the couples, and like if their vows are in it, like it's kind of, it's like a weird battle I think we go through quite a lot, and I kind of like have to just kind of like get over it with photos and like actually share it. And my mindset is I'm sharing stuff onto like Instagram to celebrate the couples that we've worked with, and in hopes that someone seeing it will feel seen in the work and will want to book us. And like that's kind of like the mindset I keep around that. But with video, I think that because like you have to be aware that like loads of people are seeing the stuff that you're putting out there. For us, I think like we quite enjoy sharing like the teaser trailers and breaking stuff down into sometimes. Reels, but the full videos, they just feel very deeply personal, and so I think
kind of reserved that for like Vimeo and the website, and just kind of so we do have obviously like a separate account for the video stuff, which is just kind of essentially the teasers and some film stills. But then I think the most sort of the biggest way of sort of expressing our video is through like reels on Joanna's account, and like having those kind of reels that have a bit of video, maybe some pictures as well. It kind of shows both sides of it.
Yeah. What, like, have you compared the numbers of content versus what am I trying to say? Have you compared your two social media accounts to be like, okay, photos actually more popular for people looking at it. You get more views of photographs, said that weird, stills or stills in real format versus video in real format. Like, have you looked at the two and compared? Like, what's been your overall consensus with that and your two platforms?
So I think it really has varied over, like, I think it varies like month by month as to what's happening. But my Instagram account like first started to kind of gain traction from sharing just like a couple of clips from Nathan's videos. So it's like probably the videos that are the reason it's grown to where it is now. But because like we were sharing really short clips, like maybe like 7 seconds, which there was like a time frame where it was like a sweet spot for sharing a reel. If it was 7 seconds long, it was probably going to do well. And it did. And then everything changed, and who knows now. But that worked for a while. And then that kind of brought more people in to look at the photos. And then some of our posts would end up on like explore pages and they'd get seen. It's like a minefield. I've got no understanding of how it works, but stuff does get seen in different ways and at different times, and I don't know why.
And I think on the video page as well, so like the film still posts usually I find do better than like a teaser, a reel. Which is interesting because it's obviously not the focus of the page. But then I don't know if you guys like find it different with like horizontal and vertical videos, if they kind of are affected with reach and things. Because I don't think there's much of a difference between the two. But then I think the photos definitely get more attention on my page. I don't know.
I mean, I'm not gonna lie. Like, we post stuff on social media, but we're totally crap at it. Totally crap. It's like I was like, oh, I like this banner, and then I made a banner, and then I was proud of myself for. I'm still proud of the banner. It's not even that interesting. It's not even that interesting at all. There's nothing special about it. So I just like the fact that I figured out how to do it. That's how bad I am at social media. So I mean, I don't know.
I mean, to be honest, without Joanna, I don't think my account would exist.
But it's funny because I'm looking at both accounts, and the only reason I asked was because, like Joanna, you've got 73,000 followers.
Yeah.
And
I don't know where they all come from or why they're there, but
yeah, if you could dissect that little bit of secret sauce, and like, there's your workshop right there. Another workshop you could do.
so,
How to get big on Instagram without buying your followers.
what's
Literally wouldn't be able to
crazy
make money on that.
is, so like if I go into my insights, it's like very few people in the UK that see stuff. How do I see this?
I think the last stat that we read about it was that the biggest country that follows Joanna is Tehran. Was it Tehran?
The city.
The city, yeah.
Tehran. Oh man,
Right.
okay.
So,
They're very supportive. They share my stuff.
Yeah,
yeah, we
stories
can't hate too much.
on a daily basis. But I am still awaiting a booking. So
Yeah. Does
Yeah,
does the posting on social media come naturally to you? Like, is that something you enjoy doing, or is that a side of the business that's purely work?
So I quite enjoy it. I like it kind of like scratches my brain in like a fun way. So I really enjoy like making like the carousels where you're like stacking stuff and trying to like pull it into being a story.
Yeah.
I find that really satisfying and I really enjoy doing it. Physically posting I hate, but I just kind of switch my mind off from it and just pretend no one's going to see it and it doesn't matter. But actually making like the content to go on social media, I enjoy. And I quite enjoy making reels, which I know most people hate. But I just find it quite fun.
Yeah, it's the same with TikTok as well. It's like a different. It's a different vibe because you don't need to do any kind of time on it.
Yeah.
You just do like the reel you've already made and then put it on TikTok. So kind of works. But I think the main thing, like the only thing I would say about like the like growth of the Instagram is just consistency. It's just like posting something every day, isn't it? Or like every other day.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, I wish I had that power.
In
that
terms
willpower.
of like you talked about the split of bookings, but where do you find most of your referrals or inquiries are coming from? Is it SEO? Is it Instagram?
So I think it's still like quite high with TikTok, which when I first started my TikTok account, it just like worked really well, sending out our work to people. And we've had a lot of people that have booked us that have said that they hadn't even considered eloping until they saw one of our TikToks and then they came back to us and booked us.
Yeah.
And that's happened quite a lot. But then as soon as my account hit 10K, it basically went dead. It wouldn't, like if I posted anything with a caption, if I tried to use words or like any way of kind of being like, I'm an elopement photographer in Scotland, it just wouldn't share our work to anyone. So that's kind of like it just kind of stopped working, but it's still been showing the older stuff to people. And so we still get inquiries through it, even though I'm really not putting in any time or effort to it at the moment.
Yeah.
But then Instagram kind of consistently gets people booking us through, which is really good.
Yeah, on our like system management, the biggest thing is Instagram still.
Mhm.
Right.
But I think that's like historically the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But like recently the influx has been from TikTok.
Yeah.
But interestingly, barely anything from Google.
But we have put zero time into doing anything with that. But I think this is kind of me being picky again, but I would rather someone book us because they've seen our work first and then they've wanted to come through to the website and then book us rather than them having just Googled.
Yeah.
Because that to me just feels like there's less investment on their end. And then I feel like I might not be the right person for them because they really like haven't seen our work.
Yeah.
Yeah, and you can definitely get like great clients through Google. It's just fewer and further between.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'd say
Absolutely.
we've definitely been noticing an influx of we found you on TikTok as well.
Mhm.
I can't say that I've seen many conversions to bookings from it, but there's definitely an influx of
Yeah.
this is a new trend that's starting to happen. And you, like Simon, put a bit of effort into it last year for a wee while, but I don't think you have recently, have you?
No.
No. So again, it's historic content that's
Yeah.
obviously driving that. It's strange.
Yeah.
It's really good. Like,
Yeah, I think there's just like a wider audience as well, because with Instagram, it's obviously mostly just people that you're already following and you already have to know about, whereas TikTok, it can just show you to anyone.
yeah.
And that's
Also, I think like one of like the misconceptions about TikTok is that it's only really young people on it. But like our oldest clients have ever booked us found us on TikTok.
Mm-hmm.
So like, don't judge it. It's good.
100% agree. 100% agree. TikTok is it has so many little nooks and crannies of
It's
people
crazy.
for like any search you can think of. Like
Anything you talk about, it shows you.
Yeah, that's the scary side of it.
Yeah.
We don't want to think about that too much.
Yeah.
yeah, that's true. That's true.
Well, like we've just finished season 1 of Severance, and
Oh,
I'm already getting like all just TikTok spoilers for season 2, and I'm like, I need to not look.
yeah. Are you guys on? I've been typing on my computer here. You guys aren't on YouTube at all?
We are, but haven't posted anything in a very long time.
Oh, there you go.
You have to
Just
stick
as
to
I
your-
say that. Sorry, just as I say that, your name pops up.
Yeah, I don't. When was the last time we posted? Years ago.
Probably 2
2
3
years ago.
I've got a year ago here.
Year ago.
Yeah.
Hey, I'm Ashley from With Jack. I'm one of the sponsors of the Perspective podcast. With Jack helps to keep photographers in business by supporting them financially and legally if they have problems with a client or they make a mistake in their work. We've all had that fear of our CF card or our hard drive failing and losing important photos. You can find out more at withjack.co.uk. Head over there and find out how we can help you be a confident creative.
Is that a gimbal you're using there?
Yeah,
Is it a
so
gimbal?
I don't know which one it would have been then, but we've got a Zion Weeble at the moment.
All right, cool. How
It would
do you find that
be
in the rain?
Past.
In the rain.
Oh well, it stands up pretty well, to be honest. Like,
Oh, really?
I've never had the Ronin, not the Ronin. That was my old one. The Zion be an issue.
You did in Iceland when it got wet.
Yeah,
Mm.
I
But
take
other
it
than
back.
that, it's been mostly
Once.
fine.
Yeah.
But we don't tend to shoot like 2 days in a row ever. So if something like gets wet, it's got plenty of time to like dry out before the next thing. But we were in Iceland for a workshop, and on one day we were in like torrential rain, and
Straight out
the
again in
next
the afternoon.
day-
Yeah.
it's like hadn't recovered at that point.
Yeah.
But it's fine now.
I've never had an issue where it's been like a paid shoot and there's been a problem
Yeah.
with the weather. So
Yeah.
Okay.
it would.
And if you did, you'd do handheld.
Yeah, and I've got 2 of them as well, so I'd just swap it out.
Yeah.
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 Okay,
Well,
okay.
as soon as Simon mentions equipment, what is in your kit bag? What's your go-to bodies and lenses?
Oh, okay.
Any toys in there? Because I know you like to play about with different mediums.
Okay, so my main setup is the Nikon Z7 IIs, and I've got 2 of those. One is a Nikkor 35mm 1.4 on it, and the second has the Z 24-70 I don't know what it's, I can't remember, but that's my main one that I use.
Yeah.
And then I also have a couple of film cameras. So it depending on like the location of where we're booked and if we've been booked for film, I I will use the Nikon F90 with my Sigma 35mm, which is like a really nice setup, but it's heavy. So if we're going like traveling somewhere, I'll take, I've got a Leica Minilux zoom, which is beautiful and it's teeny. So that's really nice just to like have in my bag. And super lightweight, easy to use. And then you are...
Well, also in yours, we sometimes have Instax.
Oh, and
So we've got a
Instax.
few like Polaroids. And,
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
And then just like lots of other like hobby cameras that we take out sometimes.
Yes. I'm also going to buy a Leica Q2, which is going to just be as like a nice little extra just to carry around for a different type of...
Just because you want to. Come on, admit it.
And then I use Sony A7 IIIs and with a like Zeiss 35mm as my main.
Yeah.
We also have like a handheld camcorder if people want to like book the like home video kind of vibe.
Yeah. Is that like a high 8 videotape or?
No, it's
Panasonic. It's just like a digital camcorder, but
it
it's
takes SD cards.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
It's a bit more modern than like your old school handheld, but
But it has
it's still
the
a similar
same
vibe.
look, but just slightly less risk.
Yeah. And then we do have a drone, but we never really take it out because Scottish weather.
Yeah. Wind.
Yeah. I mean, I do enjoy personally taking out a drone when it's like dicey. It's like, am I gonna get this back? Ooh, because if I lose it, then it's usually out with. Well, I mean, if it's like usually we'll set aside a day or an actual time in the morning that I can go and do it. That's not around the couple, unless it's like, okay, we're here at Loch Currisk and I'm not going to be able to get here any other time, so I have to fly the drone. But it's like if there's that little bit of risk, then I either lose it and I go to Greg, hey Greg, can I get a new drone? Or I get a really cool shot and I'm happy I got it back.
Yeah.
Either way, it's just a win-win for me. Terrible for the bank balance, but
what's your approach with the digital handycam video then? Is it an add-on feature or is it just something you decide you want to use in a day?
So basically like our way of doing our packages is that like you get the base photography package and then you could add video, which we offer as
like normal 4K,
like just like a normal
films.
4K highlight film. There's then an option for like an off-the-cuff video that's just kind of like all of the in-between bits. That's like maybe got like a little bit more like humor in it or whatever. Like just like more of the day that's not necessarily part of like this epic highlight film. Then there's a handycam video, which is kind of just like a nice alternative for if they want something that's a bit different and it's more home video styled. So it's probably closer to the off-the-cuff video than it is to a highlight video. But
then we would do that separately to like instead of a 4K highlight video. So we wouldn't like be filming two hands just like
it's like just a bit like a nice way to offer different things for people that they maybe have like had ideas that they want. And then the same with like 35mm film, that's like an add-on, or like Instax photos, that's an add-on. So people can kind of build up their packages however they like, and if they want to add stuff on closer to the time they can.
We tried our hand at Super 8 for like a month and we couldn't...
The devastation.
Yeah, the camera just didn't record anything and the cost involved with finding out that it didn't record anything was too much for me to handle. I was like...
My anxiety can't.
Yeah, I love the vibe of it, but like the input it needs is crazy.
Oh man, that failure risk is... I can do that.
Have you tried Super 8?
No,
not Super 8, no.
Not Super 8. We actually tried we like, so Greg, last year we decided to do like about us videos in the studio in here, and so we did that. And Greg had all this old family tape,
of like me as a kid,
of Greg as a kid, but he also had him with his kid on the same camera. I think it was
different camera, but same
same
medium.
thing. So it was able to blend really nicely with the old and the new. And I was like, I really enjoyed working with that completely terrible format. Because it's like to me, it just feels like my memories.
Yeah.
Like that's how I used to see the world. Like, that high tape. Like it was never film.
Yeah.
That's cool, but that is not what my 80s childhood was like.
Yeah.
So
we played about with it on a 3-day shoot at the end of last year. Like the last project we worked on, I just spent 3 days filming on that, and Simon was shooting in 4K.
Yeah,
and it was pretty good fun. Like
it just feels like kind of creative, and it's got like that nostalgic feel, which is really fun to play around with.
Yeah. But I don't know what camera is it that. So you have a really old camera.
Yeah, it's a Sony Handycam.
And so every time you'd hit the record button, it wouldn't always record perfectly, and more often than not, the sound would be.
There's almost never sound on it.
Yeah. There's never sound.
I don't know if the microphone's broke on it. Maybe
it's coming on one. The sound comes on one side, or it's. I don't know. It's like, but I love those moments of just when you start recording, the tape signal goes.
Oh yeah.
And then it's like black and white, and then it hits into color, and you're just like, I really like that completely terrible. Tape effect. It just looks so cool. So. I don't know. I think we're going to continue with that.
It's definitely something that I've seen a few other people doing in recent years, and seen it in other places, not just in weddings or elopements. And I think it might start like the Super 8 was popular for a wee while, but I think with this, we're maybe a bit older, but for the age group of people that are starting to get married,
how dare you?
Maybe that's the sort of medium that is going to have a bit of popularity for a wee while.
Yeah.
So
it's really nice. And we've had so much fun making videos with that. And actually, that's kind of the reason that Nathan got into doing video really as well. Like you had your grandma's old Handycam video, and you used to just carry it around with you and take videos from like our own life. And I was like, you're kind of good at this.
That's cool. You know what? I've always been intrigued. I'm moving away from the cameras and tech a little bit, but I've always been intrigued of what it's like being on Sky and having the ability to just go out and, like, I think if I lived there, I would just be out all the time trying to find different locations. Just not even just to shoot at, but just because I like exploring things.
Yeah, absolutely.
But like, has that been your experience? Like, are you out on the hills every week? Or every other day? I don't know. Like, what's it like?
Try and get outside as much as possible. And I'm very much like, if I see a path, I will explore it. I'm going down it. I need to find out where it goes. And there's so many that are kind of like near to us. And I'm just like, that I need to know, I need to see everything. And so we went down one yesterday, which I guess like doesn't get walked down all that often. And
I'm not even sure if it was
beautiful.
a path.
But like I'll always like go down places and I'll be like, oh, this would be perfect for a ceremony. But at the same time, like we went through quite a lot of bog to get there. So maybe not.
I think
it is still nice.
The biggest sort of limitation is obviously the weather and just the short days throughout winter as well.
Yeah.
We've not been out as much as we'd like to, at least in the last
not
couple
in stormy
of
weather,
no.
I know.
Yeah. You know, like we spoke to David Connaughton about that, I think, but how do you feel about like when a couple just come to you with the same spots. They're like, oh, we really want a Kerrang ceremony.
The Kerrang.
How do you approach that? Do you go, well, that's what they want, so that's fine? Or do you take it on board and then try and guide them to one of those remote places you've found?
We've like pretty much will always go with what they want, unless it's like the Fairy Glen. I refuse to shoot there.
Really? Why?
Yeah.
Just because of like, I guess ever since we came in 2020, like we've just seen that land just get devastated, and now there's like ropes and stuff up, and I just know that the couples that are asking us like about it have seen these incredible photos, and I don't want their experience to be underwhelming, especially for their ceremony. And so I will kind of like be like, you should absolutely go and like visit there like when you come. But like, how about these locations for your ceremony? Because for the Kerrang, like regardless, even if it's like the worst weather day possible, it's magical. And you know that it's going to take their breath away. You know that it's going to be like so special for them. And so even if we shoot there all the time, like I don't care, I love it. And I know that they're going to love it. Like we've never worked with anyone that's like walked up through like the mountains there and gone like, oh, I don't like this. Like everyone's obsessed. So
yeah, and on top of that, it feels and looks different every time we go up there.
Yeah,
like the colors are different weather. You can get different backdrops all the time. I think if someone was like keen on the Kerrang, then we'd obviously always guide them to like earlier or later in the day, just to kind of make it as quiet as possible. But
or just like not on like
the ledge at the top.
Yeah.
Actually, last time I was there were ropes at the edge. Are they still there? Like, what's the deal?
Yeah, they've put in like a path from the car park for probably about 500 meters along the top, and then there's ropes along the edge.
Yeah.
So we would either sort of go beyond where the ropes are, or kind of in the lower section.
And I think this is what I find difficult with like locations like the Kerrang and Fairy Glen and Store, is all of the ropes that are now being put up, because like we obviously have portfolio of all of these locations where there are no ropes, but then I worry that it's setting like a bad example to people thinking like, oh, let's just go over the ropes, let's just ignore blah blah blah. And like that's kind of like my little battle with it, because I then obviously don't want to like encourage doing that, because I want like the land to be safe and looked after and be beautiful for other people to come and enjoy. But I've seen it a lot as well with especially like photographers coming for workshops or coming over to Scotland that have never been before. They've obviously seen this like vast amount of portfolio from however many years ago of people stood in these locations that are now not accessible, but they are obviously not going to know when these ropes and things have been put up. And then it just kind of like, it's creating this like spiral.
Yeah, and also not wanting to say no to the couple too many times.
It's like, such an internal battle.
Because we basically named like all of the hot spots on Sky that we necessarily wouldn't do, which is why we like to find like the more hidden, quieter spots, so that they are kind of less touristy.
Have you ever gone? So first of all, what is the legalness behind the ropes? Are you technically allowed to cross the ropes? Who's in charge of it? Because we obviously have the right to use the land in Scotland.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So I think...
But I think it's protected, and I think because a lot of it is peatland, it's all to do with making sure like that's protected, but also I think especially at the top bit of the Kerrang, like they obviously
that big flat ledge,
and they get however many tourist buses a day come up, and then hundreds of people get out, they stand on the ledge, and if you go down on the road and you kind of look up at it, and
Precarious.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I was joking to Nathan when they first put up the ropes. I was like, that's because some poor guy has seen me standing over the edge, like trying to take pictures, and has gone, she's gonna
Needs
fall.
to protect her, yeah.
So like, I don't know.
Obviously, like, I think the legal standing is always, obviously right to roam is still the main sort of element to that. But it's kind of a protective level to it. It's kind of common sense. Like, don't endanger yourself.
And they've got these label things that are now stuck in that have got like a boot and a plant and a cross over it. Yeah. So like, it is definitely telling you not to do that, but I don't know who's telling you, and I don't know if they're allowed to tell you not to. But I am very much an anxious person. I'll just do as I'm told. So
it's the same thing. Oh, sorry. Go on. You go on.
I was just going to say, mostly from our like personalities, is that we'd always err on the side of caution and just play it safe.
I know a lot of people are like, ask for forgiveness, not permission, but I'm like the other way around.
I can't see when we were up at Sky with that couple. Was that the ropes there? The path was there. I don't remember the ropes though, but it was that ledge that we were on.
Yeah.
Was I a bad boy? Did I just not even? It's terrible, actually. But it's the same thing about the like flying the drone. Like I remember, I was up there with my wife, and there was no drone signs at the Old Man store.
Yeah.
But I'm like, they have control of the land, they don't have control of the airspace.
Yeah.
And I can understand, like, if you're gonna lose your drone, you don't want to like hit a sheep or something.
Yeah.
But the thought did occur to me, like, who is actually who is wardening this?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think it depends on who it is, because some things I've seen where it's like no drones on Sky is because there's like bird migration and like patterns in bird flight, but then it could just be like a disgruntled farmer. Do you know what I mean?
It could be.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay.
I'm very much there. I'll read a sign and I'll just do what it says. Like it could tell me to jump off a cliff. I'd be like, great.
I'm like, there's always that battle. You mentioned the battle, the inner battle, and part of me is like, 2 minutes, 1 minute. I know there's someone out there going, oh, you idiot, you should just behave, like have respect for the land. And I do have respect for the land. But
if we didn't have this landscape, we wouldn't have jobs of being elopement photographers. Like we need to look after it so that people come back in another 5 years to get more photos and video. So
that's right. It's all very fascinating. I do need to. I would like to look at the legal side of things.
Well, if you
just
find
my
out,
own knowledge.
let me know.
It doesn't matter. You'll still obey the signs. So, actually, you know what? I have to say, I was on your. I mean, obviously, I was on your website, but I completely skipped past the fact that you have presets. I don't quite know how.
Yes.
It's fairly recent.
Well, okay. I think I launched them like maybe like June, maybe.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Cool. I mean, I should have seen them then. I have no excuse. But yeah, tell me about them. Have they been successful? And
yes, they have. It's been because I was always very much like, I'm never gonna release presets, never. But it was getting to a point where I was getting like several DMs on like daily, weekly basis, and I was like, you know what, I'll do it. But my like editing style is kind of like, I'm very much like, I'll use something as a base and then I pull it and I stretch it, and nothing's ever like a one click and it's done kind of thing. So that's what I've been really trying to like portray with these, is that like, don't buy them if you want it to be a one click thing, because it just won't work that way.
Are presets, can they ever be a one click thing? Because in my experience, I've always bought some and been really disappointed.
Yeah, exactly, same. I think like you really, Well, I think the most beautiful thing about buying presets is to really like learn about like whose work you like, and like the way that they're editing and how they're kind of like looking at things like in your tone curves, and really pulling it apart and figuring out what it is that you like about a preset and what it is that you don't like about a preset. And so that's what I think has been like great for me when I've been learning more about presets and like not literally just editing straight from scratch. And that's what I hope other people are taking away from this as well. But I've like had pretty much all like really positive feedback from it. People have been loving it. And yeah, it's been kind of wild. I wasn't really expecting it to do as well as it has. So
yeah, I think the thing we wanted like mostly to get out of it was that people weren't just going to sort of emulate how it looks when Joanna edits, but have their own style with it.
Yeah, because like it's never gonna be like if you buy a preset, you've got like the Joanna edit or something. Like I want it to be like that you find like how it works in certain like lighting situations, and you really like grow from it and use it as a base. Because that's basically what I do with them for myself. I'm never just kind of like putting it on and like moving on to the next photo. So yeah, it's been great seeing how people have been using them and loving them. I've had a lot of like really positive feedback from people about like skin tones, which is like the main like point that I was like really stressed about with it, because I'm like, as soon as you get into like other camera bodies and like people editing differently, especially because I'm on Nikon, which most people do not use, I was like, oh, this is gonna be difficult. But yeah, loads of people have said really good things, so yeah.
How do you balance your portfolio in terms of photo and video? Does Nathan try and match the color grading, or do you just, this is the colors for video, that's for photo?
Yeah. So I'll out myself before I get Joanna colors the videos and does that because it's easier to sort of match with the photos. It's kind of how you're like seeing it, I suppose.
I'm very like picky. So Nathan will go mad if I'm just sat there being like, it's not perfect. So I just do it, but we're still like, it's like a never ending battle, I think, with video, because we edit on Premiere Pro and I hate the colors when they export from Premiere, and it's like a whole saga, and I hate
the correction like look thing doesn't work. So not enough.
Drives me insane. We what do you guys use? Are you Premiere as well?
Premiere Pro, and we have that export lot, but it's like there was like a week or a few days, maybe it wasn't maybe a week, but I was just like exporting, moving a slider, exporting, moving a slider. Like honestly, and it still comes out and it's not the same. And now I'm just like, I've lost the will to do it.
And then you put it on a phone and it's even different again.
It drives me crazy.
I think we've got a good balance though now.
I want to learn like DaVinci and even like figure out that, but we like downloaded it. I started looking at it and I was like, this is overwhelming. So maybe at some point when we have a little bit more time, I think that will probably be a move that we make, even if it means that like we edit in Premiere, but then we color in DaVinci. That might be what happens.
Best combo, But to say that I like shoot Sony, Joanna does Nikon, I think like the way that the videos and photos look,
they're not too dissimilar. Together. They are a lot. It's like a lot more desaturated within video, but I quite like that because I think because the way that I would edit a gallery for kind of like storytelling is there's like a lot of black and whites, and like I'm really being intentional with how it all kind of flows as one story together. Whereas for video, I think that it's really nice that it's kind of all got this like consistent mutedness in a way, so that it's not too like garish from one clip to the next, and it kind of flows a little bit better. So yeah, they're kind of similar but also kind of different, and currently we're happy, but I think at some point
we have talked that
invest
sort
more
of
time in it.
this year, especially maybe going into later in the year, we're going to sort of focus on upgrading like the video side of things.
Yeah. We definitely want to upgrade video cameras, but Nathan changes his mind every 2 minutes about which one he wants.
It's hard being a video person.
That's why you just get a handy cam and then you don't need to.
Yeah.
What are you thinking of, Nathan? Like, where are you wanting to lean towards?
So I'm torn between like probably sticking with Sony to some extent, whether to go down like the FX3 cinema line route or the like the S3 or even the 4, just as like a nice little upgrade. Nothing too major. But then with the cinema line, you've obviously got like all these external ports, and weather will play havoc with that. So
yeah, that's always the worry, isn't it?
Yeah,
What do you guys use?
We're the
S3.
A7 S3. For that reason, actually.
For the weather sealing.
Yeah. I mean, the FX3 looks cool. I'm not gonna lie, but it does have big old vents in it, and it just sucks things right into it. And I would just be like, that'd be it.
Yeah.
So yeah, I mean, part of me is actually like, I would love an FX6. Like an actual, like, with just because I like the idea of the built-in NDs,
Of course,
all that kind of stuff. But then I don't know. Again, it's like it's a big thing.
Yeah. See, we all do it. We all change it.
I know. In fact, when I made Greg move over to Sony all those years ago, I did think this is going to be it for a long time. And I'm still not nothing's been good enough yet for me to go, that is an absolute necessity now that we get this camera. So until I find that necessity, like that absolute need, that desire, that it fulfills so many of my criteria, then I'm fine just as is. But I do keep adding things. Like I got Greg to get me a rig. Like a cage system with the rails, and I now use a V-Log battery, but then and a monitor with a top handle and a side handle. But then
get heavier and heavier and heavier.
heavier and heavier and heavier. Yeah. And then when it rains, I'm like, well, the V-Log's out because you've got all your ports open. I'm like, oh, why did I do this? Oh yeah, because I hate the Sony batteries. But
it is such like a nightmare, isn't it? Trying to figure out cameras.
I don't know if it's because Joanna uses Nikon, but like if the
Nikon video is
the Z9
insane.
had like dual record, that would be my probably ideal.
I would agree. I think Nikon has come out of nowhere with their video.
They've been late to the game, but they're going to come out firing. I think. Yeah.
But I don't understand why they won't have it record two slots. That's so annoying.
Basically, the deal breaker for us, to be honest.
Yeah. We recorded like my little like promo video thing for the presets on Nikon, and I was like, oh no, this is really nice. But can't use it because not on two slots.
Too risky.
Yeah.
Yeah. Is I keep getting this confused, but is Nikon is that sensor like a red sensor?
They bought red recently.
I think they
there's going to be some stuff.
Yeah, I think they got like sued for doing something.
It was raw video.
The internal raw video.
Yeah, that was it.
Yeah,
and the red were like, you can't do that.
Yes. I don't know why everyone loves red, because that is a bastard move. That is suing people just to have internal. Anyway,
You might have to fact check that. That might not be correct.
Yeah, that's just my vague memory.
before Simon just absolutely tears an innocent company down. Sorry, Red, if you're innocent.
In the screen right now.
yeah, terrible. Sorry, Red, if you're innocent, but if you're not, you suck. Anyway, do you guys go to an element with ideas for shots in mind, or?
I used to. Like I used to really like try and like storyboard things in my head as to like what I wanted. But I found that I feel way more creative just kind of turning up and just like listening to the environment and seeing what the like vibe is like. Because I think when I was kind of like coming up with these ideas beforehand, I could end up feeling disappointed in myself if I didn't get that, and it would kind of like taint my experience of the day, and then I'd maybe feel like it wasn't like my best work or whatever. Whereas like coming in just kind of like completely with a fresh mind and just seeing what kind of unfolds throughout the day has always like led to my favorite photos, I think.
Yeah, and you don't really want it to end up feeling a bit like a checkbox exercise where you're kind of getting all those shots, because ultimately, like, I think all of those in-between moments, like, they end up being the nicest shots. So it's really something that's planned for.
Is that maybe something that's came with time though? Like obviously
at
the start you've not done a lot of elopements and you're like, oh my god, what did I do here? Once you've done a few, same with weddings, once you've done a few, you're like, okay, there's similar arcs to the day, so I know I don't need to be too prepared.
I think a lot of it as well comes down to kind of any like photography education that I'd invested in before, or even just like speaking to other photographers. I had this idea of like, well, this is what they do, so I have to do that, otherwise I'm doing it wrong. And it took me a long time to kind of just find what I liked doing and what worked for me. Because I was very much like, I just follow the crowd, let's do what everyone else does. But I just didn't enjoy doing that. And so it took a wee bit of time, but we have like got to a place where I now like feel very happy and comfortable just doing what I know and what I feel works really well for me and my own creativity.
Yeah. Cool. Speaking of that, we should pull some images up and and some show and tell.
Show and tell.
I think it's only stills that we've got, I'm afraid.
I know. Sorry, Nathan.
Sorry.
Okay. Actually, just I really like this image. I think it's because it felt like this line of information with the like all the detail, the crisp color, the detail in the middle, and then it's kind of sandwiched in with this whiteness. I was going to say Warburton's bread, but I don't know why. I don't know why I was going to say that. Like thing. So yeah, it just felt really nice to me. And one, I wanted to know where this is. And two, what your experience was with creating this image, knowing that the couple are probably freezing cold, because we've worked in very cold circumstances. And the last time we did, the bride was just an absolute trooper. She was just a tang. She was just like, I don't care how cold I am. I mean, her skin was blue.
Oh my God.
And she did not give a fuck.
Was that the Iceland thing?
Yeah. It was Iceland. But yeah, she was crazy. So I wanted to hear your story here with this image and what made you take it. And
So these guys are from Australia, and they were planning on only bringing their flip-flops with them. Yeah, we none of
The
us.
snow wasn't even supposed to happen.
None of us were expecting snow at all whatsoever. So we were really glad that he bought good shoes and a jumper in the end. But it was this was the most magical day I think I've ever experienced. So this is Lago de Braise in the Dolomites, and we were there at the start of October, and we basically spent the whole week with this couple, and they just basically have now become our best friends, which has been so fun. But we when we got there and we drove up to the Dolomites, it was kind of we experienced all different types of weather, and we came and viewed this spot the day before to just kind of scout it out, see where they were going to have their ceremony. When we were there was 3 other elopement couples all queuing one behind the other to go on a boat, and I was like, okay, because I've never experienced that even in Scotland, even shooting in really popular places. I've never seen other people getting married at the same time. So I was a bit oh, okay, this is wild. But that was at the middle of the day, so it kind of makes sense that was happening then. But so we walked around to this spot. We were yep, this is where we're going to do it. And then the next day we went to go and pick them up. It was really just raining, and there was no snow on the ground where we were, and we only stayed I think 7 minutes away. And as we were just driving, it got really misty, and then all of a sudden we broke through the mist just to this, and we were
yeah, insane.
It was insane. It was one of those core memories that I was we're feeling this all at the same time. This is magical. And so yeah, they were just such a dream to work with. She's a wedding photographer, and he's just kind of got into doing video as well. So they were just so keen for anything that we were suggesting, and obviously they had the vision. They were keen for anything, even though they were freezing. But yeah, this photo, as soon as we got there and I saw this, I was I'm envisioning this picture, and that's what I'm gonna figure out a way to take. And so yeah, I mostly just kind of one of my main directions that I give to people is to kind of walk with one kind of leading the other, and their bodies facing out towards us just a little bit. And that can pretty much translate into a really beautiful image in big locations wherever you are. So I knew I wanted to frame them in the water. This is probably bringing me right back to my stripes days.
Perfect stripe right across. Amazing.
But I do very much have rule of thirds drilled into me and leading lines. And so that's kind of always things that I'm looking for in a composition. And this was it was kind of a composition of dreams, where as soon as I saw it happening, I was yes, this is going to be my favorite photo ever. Yeah. And then I got home. Well, we got back to the Airbnb after, and I just edited that one photo for them and took it to dinner for them.
Yeah. That
Cool.
sums up elopement photography, that story. You can have an idea of a spot, have a location scouted, and then the next day completely different. But sometimes it works out, sometimes it doesn't.
It was so funny though, because we'd gone taken all of our equipment, got loads of B-roll. We were sick.
Yeah, can put that in.
Yeah, doesn't work.
So now their gallery is really fun. It's got a whole story, because we've got pictures of us.
Yeah, there was a really sunny day as well when we went just beforehand as well.
Yeah.
The mist just lifted right at the right moment for that.
Yeah,
it wasn't much of a view for most of the before that.
Oh, really? It's amazing as well, because it's such dense mist.
Yeah.
But then it's just crystal clear below. It's so good.
Yeah. I've never seen anything like it.
Blue.
Yeah, it's very cool. Very cool. I love this image. They must have been stoked as well when you delivered.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
So this next image, is one of my favorites. Again, like
Mhm.
it's so interesting. I want to assume your focal length, and you can tell me if I'm wrong. But it feels like an 85.
No, I don't own an 85 now.
You don't own an
No,
85?
I
Is it
know.
longer? Is it longer than
No,
that?
it's a 50.
We're really,
Oh.
really close.
Oh, you're just really, really.
I think you took this one.
Yeah, like
That's one of yours.
Oh,
you-
really?
35.
Oh,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I love the fact that it feels quite intimate
Yeah.
in a voyeuristic way, but just the fact that you've blocked faces and you've got this, I don't know, it's like their faces are together.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I don't know, you can almost remove the people aspect of it and just see
Yeah.
shapes, which I find really interesting. It's like, you know, when, I mean, if people have done like a portrait class before, they tell you to like try and remove the idea of what you're drawing or painting.
Yeah.
And so like, you know, they'll give you a photograph, and then if it's like a person, they'll turn it upside down, so your brain doesn't quite understand the image if it's upside down, and
Yeah.
so you'll more accurately paint or draw the shapes, and it just what happens that once you're finished, it'll be an actual person, and it's a very similar thing here. Yeah, but tell me about it. This couple, like, and why are you so close? Why are you so close?
So these guys, they found us on TikTok, and they, like, their whole elopement day was just beautiful. Like, we had sunshine on sky, which is very rare, but it just kind of like always, like the light always just hit in the right spot at the right time, and their whole day just felt quiet. But like that type of quiet where you just feel like it's like a deep exhale.
Yeah.
Like it just, yeah, it was like peaceful, everything that you kind of want. And like, I think, well, like whilst we were spending the day with them, I was like just talking about how much I was obsessed with her earrings. And so when I was like culling through the photos and I saw that this was one of the ones Nathan had, I was like, in fact, I think that it's actually a much wider picture. I'm a super cropper. I crop in quite tight, which is probably
Right.
why it looks more like an 85.
Yeah.
So I was like, saw her earring again, and I was like, those earrings are great. And just like cropped in nice and tight to kind of draw attention to the detail. And kind of like, because to me, this image feels very quiet and very peaceful. And so I try and like keep the detailed pictures that give off that like feeling within the gallery to kind of build on the story.
Yeah, and we're always trying to capture like every element of their day. So like the detail is one of the key elements, like trying to capture the grandness and the closeness.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's all ties in together.
I am also like, I am quite an up close and personal shooter. But I think because like my personality is very kind of like quiet, and like we've never had anyone like even really notice that we're close. So it works. But it's like so funny for us because like we don't really use the drone, and so we kind of laugh that we're like little mountain goats and we'll just like run around everywhere and try and get like these big wide shots, but then also these really up close and like detailed shots where we're really focused on like certain parts. So yeah, I guess you kind of had the two extremes there.
Someone did ask us once about like our drone pictures, and we were so confused.
And I was like,
what,
I was
which
like,
one
no,
do you mean?
I'm just really far away.
Yeah.
That's amazing.
I like this because like we often say as filmmakers, we don't really shoot the details, like in terms of in the morning prep, we're not going to shoot the earrings unless there's interaction with them.
Yeah.
And that's like what this kind of is as well. Like it's a detailed shot, but it feels like it's like in the moment and it's meant to be there, and it's got
it's like part of
got
it.
a purpose. Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, the easy go-to equivalent would be like the dress flapping in the wind.
Mhm.
Because there's movement, so everyone goes, "Oh, it's moving." It's kind of like when a dog sees a squirrel,
Yeah,
they'll go down like, "Ah, it's moving."
The wind is
But
doing
then
things.
details that aren't exactly being directly interacted with. Like this is just a perfect shot for that. I've had a few conversations this year that are making me think that I'm not focusing on details enough. Like. I don't know. I'm not quite doing them justice.
Yeah.
Not that I'm not focusing on them. I don't know. I feel like shots like this.
I think they can be more pertinent too if it's a very sort of sentimental detail.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
100%. Yeah.
But also, I think we found it quite like nice for like. So if Nathan's second shooting for me, I do like have him mostly focus on the little details. So like.
Right.
It's kind of like I have the focus of like I'm trying to capture everything, but then I give Nathan the focus of like I just want you to like focus on the details, which means that he's kind of paying more attention to like these little moments, and knowing that I'm gonna like play around with cropping in tight to things, and just getting those things. Because otherwise, like if we're both just shooting the same things, like I just am making more work for myself of the exact same thing. So I'd rather have him focused on details.
Yeah, I'm with you. Nice one. Okay, so I love this as well. Kind of in the same kind of vein as the last image, except for it's not like a detail that you'd wear. It's not like a dress or a ring or a something. It's more like a detail in the environment, which I feel, especially this sort of detail in the environment, is really hard to capture because it's moving so fast. You have to capture it with this notion of you're either going to catch it, but you're not going to know exactly what you're going to have caught, or you're going to miss it altogether. And I just love the fact that the couple in the background. Now, I'm wondering, because I had a shot one time, and it was like this. It was more the confetti, but I'm an autofocus shooter, and for like 80% of the time, and the confetti shot that I really loved was the fact that the shot that I got that was of the confetti that I really loved was when my autofocus jumped to a piece of confetti that was so close to me, and it pushed the couple out of focus at all, and you couldn't understand. But there was just so much confetti, you just couldn't really understand anything. But the fact that it was just like the focus was the confetti and not the couple, I really enjoyed that. And it's the same thing here. Not to mention the fact that they're like a dark shape, and they've got all that kind of white negative space behind them, is just really nice, like to look at. So was this like my confetti shot a pure accident?
Absolutely.
Oh, thank goodness. Okay,
you could see the volume of snow on that day.
Yeah, the amount of snow coming down, it was impossible to even try and like focus on like anything.
It was like point and hope.
But like so fun.
It was amazing,
and like has created so many really unique images, which just like feels really creatively inspiring. So
this is in Glencoe. Not that you can tell, but it's in Glencoe.
Oh, right. Okay.
Was this like a pre-elopement session or just a couple session?
So this is part of one of my workshops that I was doing, and
end of November when
it
was
end of November,
snowy everywhere.
And basically I had a total nightmare because so one of the couples, well, in fact, two of the couples I booked as models were stuck in Edinburgh and Perth and couldn't get through because of the snow.
Right.
And so like I'm frantically trying to find couples last minute, and these two work at the King's House Hotel and they were down for it. And so they came and were our models.
Braved the snow.
With like
That's amazing.
like one night's notice,
Yeah.
and they were absolutely incredible.
Yeah, they really grew into it because, like, by the end of like shooting with them, even though it was only like
It
half
wasn't
an hour,
long,
they
but-
were like rolling around in the snow, like having a snowball
they
fight. It was amazing.
Loved it, and it was like really, really good. So yeah, one of those like happy accidents
I think
in the whole sense of everything.
It actually helps a lot, I think, when the weather is a bit wild for people to sort of loosen up as well, because like there's no other choice than to sort of run around.
Yeah.
Especially
absolutely.
elopement couples, they're of a different mindset. They're usually of the mindset where I'm going to get dirty, I'm going to have to get rained on or something. So they do go with it, and it does loosen them up a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. So I just love this. Loved it. Love that image. And I'm so glad that we can admit our mistakes sometimes work out. And it's okay.
Absolutely.
You know?
Yeah, I'm definitely like not a perfectionist in like shooting at all. Like I know that I am going to love like so many accident photos and
Although most of the problem photos are just me in the background, like trying to avoid the picture.
Greg's always in my shots as well.
That's why you've got
a game where I'll like have edited him out of a picture, and then I'll get him to come through, and I'm like, okay, guess where you are.
Oh, that sounds like a good game. I like
It was a great game.
All right, guys. Well, thank you very much for joining us for another great conversation. I've been thoroughly enjoying our chats. But yeah, I'm so glad you guys came on.
Yeah, thanks so much for having us.
Where can people find you online? Your website, your Instagram handles, and if there's anything you want to sell, i.e. your presets, let them know where they can see them or test them out.
Cool. Okay, so you can find our website at joannaeliza.com. And then for Instagram, I'm Joanna Eliza Photography. Nathan's Joanna Eliza Films. There's also a Joanna Eliza Education. And then there's presets available on the website. And we also do like one-to-one mentorships or like group mentorships and workshops and different bits of education here and there. So yeah, all the things.
Awesome. Absolutely. And people can find us at Perspective by Cinemate. I thoroughly enjoy holding this mic. I don't know why. I'm really enjoying. I feel like a sports commentator, so I'm just going to keep holding it. Our Instagram is at Perspective by Cinemate. Thank you to With Jack for sponsoring another fantastic episode of the podcast. And if you have been enjoying our conversations with such amazing, talented photographers and filmmakers, you can hit subscribe on our YouTube. You can follow us wherever you get podcasts, and I do hope you do, because we will continue to make great content for your ear holes. And we hope to see you in the next one. However,
in the meantime,
enjoy your life.
Awesome. Thank you very much. And your internet held up.
Yeah, your internet.